New tonight, a Rockford woman is behind bars for the drug-induced murder of a 14-year-old boy. No one inside of the NDK plant was injured during the explosion, but debris from the blast flew more than 200 yards to the nearby Belvedere Oasis, hitting and killing a truck driver from Indiana. The numbers are staggering. 7 murders in 2 weeks, and now Rockford police are making a major push to squash the recent increase in crime. Delaying and canceling flights not only here in the Midwest, but it's been tying up travel nationwide. But what about personal responsibility? At what point do we begin asking people to start taking responsibility for our actions? Other news tonight, Rockford police are on the lookout for a bank robber. Now, it would have looked a lot different then. For example, there would have been no electricity, no windows, and likely nowhere for them to sit or sleep. Behind the scenes, negotiations continue, but on the surface, any agreement or compromise appears a long way off. They're asking them to go ahead and turn themselves in because it's not worth risking their lives. Anyone thinking they can get away without paying their traffic fines in Winnebago County is in for a big surprise. Now it's in this room here where some of the cleaning women say they have heard footsteps coming behind them. It's been 1 year since the water washed away these train tracks, resulting in one of the biggest train accidents in northern Illinois history. While the tracks have since been repaired, the memories from that day will not soon fade away. The scene today is much different than 1 year ago. On June 19th, 2009, the train crossing along Mulford Road was engulfed in a ball of flames.
911, what's your emergency?
Oh my God, we're on Mulford Road going south at the railroad tracks and it just blew up. A train blew up.
A Canadian national train carrying 74 ethanol-filled tankers exploded after a heavy storm washed out the tracks.
You need fire, ambulance, anything right away.
1 year ago, Calvin Rhodes was on his way to work when he stopped at that railroad crossing. And that's when he noticed the oncoming train begin to hydroplane.
Just toppling over each other. They went as high as 20 feet in the air over the trees. And all of a sudden, it was just a big burst of flames. So my first thought was to put it in reverse, but there was a car behind me.
So he and the 2 other people in his truck quickly got out and ran.
The heat was so intense so quickly. It was so hot that, that it just started burning us.
In the year since the accident, Canadian National has fixed the tracks.
The tracks have been repaired. I believe they not only repaired them, I think they engineered them a bit differently on how they crossed the road and leading up to it, and then the drainage in the area.
The county has also revamped its emergency plan, putting together a detailed list of every single train intersection in Winnebago County. But that's little comfort to Mike Wells and his son, who live right behind the tracks.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happened again. I hope it doesn't happen again.
And for Calvin, who said the accident was like watching a movie play out on the other side of his windshield.
The scars, mental scars, are going to be there for life.
The Winnebago County Highway Department says better drainage has been put in place and better monitoring will be done in the future.
This is the alarm we should have heard the night that Edna Briggs Gunther was here.
This pulse oximeter was attached to 2-year-old Evelyn Zagal's toe the night she stopped breathing. It's designed to measure the oxygen saturation of a patient's blood. When it alarms, it means the patient isn't getting enough air. But for some reason, Evelyn's nurse, Edna Briggs Gunther, didn't hear the alarms that night.
She was assigned to be here and to be the eyes and ears of this family and to provide the very minimal care that this child needed throughout the night. She just needed to make sure that the little tube was in and that the alarm wasn't going on.
Doctors testified Evelyn hadn't been breathing for nearly an hour before she got help. The Zagal family believes Briggs Gunther had fallen asleep, something she had been found guilty of prior in an evaluation by her employer, Independence Plus.
They knew that Edna had been sleeping on the job, and it hurt me that they still placed her in my home to care for my baby.
Briggs Gunther admitted to state regulatory officials that she failed to notice Evelyn's trach tube fell out and failed to establish an airway before notifying the parents. But instead of revoking her license, all she received was a reprimand. So although this civil case is settled, the Zagal family says complete justice has not yet been served.
I think justice would be having my baby back. I think justice would be having Edna's nursing license.
For many, this is all they know of Jerry Springer. He's the man man behind the mic and the ringmaster in a circus of human curiosities. But the show is actually something Jerry Springer only does part-time. His interests lie in bigger issues than who slept with who and who's having whose baby.
My main interest is still political issues. That's what I spend most of my time doing.
Springer's political career dates back decades. He was a political campaign aide to Robert F. Kennedy and made his first run for Congress in 1970.
For 10 years, I was a city councilman and mayor of Cincinnati.
In 2003, Springer made a run for the United States Senate.
Hi, how are you?
But eventually dropped out of the race.
Well, the poll had me winning, but no, it wasn't. The show gave me notoriety. But I couldn't pull the trigger because I didn't think that being 1 out of 100, I would make a difference in the war in Iraq, which is what I was most concerned about. Every once in a while I think about running again. You know, someone will come to me with a poll and say, hey, you could be the senator, you could be the governor in Ohio. But I'm more comfortable doing what I'm doing now.
And what he's doing now requires a lot of traveling.
Mondays and Tuesdays I'm in Connecticut doing my television show, and Wednesday through Sunday I'm in Las Vegas doing America's Got Talent.
Springer served as the host of the television show for a couple of years, and now he's hosting the 10 finalists in the Vegas Act. Speaking of act, Jerry can do that too.
This summer I played Billy Flynn in the musical Chicago on Broadway, and it was a lot of fun because I'd never really done anything like that before.
Would you give all this up to have that political career you've been looking for?
No, I never wanted to make a career out of politics, because if you make a career out of politics, you become at least intellectually dishonest.
Springer believes if you have to get elected to put food on the table, you'll begin compromising your integrity in order to feed your family.
So I always knew, even when I was mayor, that I would never make a career in politics, that I would make my money doing something else. I didn't know it would be entertainment.
Much like what he does at the end of his show,
Till next time, take care of yourself.
Jerry Springer leaves us with these final thoughts on his passion of politics.
The best way is to treat politics as you treat your religion. You're very serious about it, you're passionate about it, but you don't make a living at it.
Good evening, I'm Kimberly Nelson. Another round of storms could be barreling down on the state line. We begin tonight with a first look at the forecast.
Hi, Kimberly. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Ty. Well, last night's major storm took its toll on one church in Milledgeville. A massive cleanup is now underway there. Our Fox 39's Alex Shabad has a story. A structural engineer is expected to come to the church sometime this week. Meanwhile, church members will be gathering at a sister church for their services. Parts of Indiana were also pelted with hail from this storm. The half-inch in diameter hail acted more like ping pong balls yesterday, hitting the houses and bouncing off the sidewalks. The storms brought back memories of 2006 when severe weather struck in early April. No serious damage, though, was reported. New tonight, a Rockford woman is behind bars for the drug-induced murder of a 14-year-old boy. 39-year-old Susan Moore is charged with a drug-induced homicide as well as other charges. On Saturday afternoon, emergency crews were called to the home on the 39th Avenue for a drug overdose. There they found the 14-year-old unresponsive. He was taken to the hospital where he died yesterday. Moore is currently being held on a $1 million bond. A man is recovering after being shot several times at a house party. He walked into Swedish American Hospital just before 1:30 this morning. Rockford police say he was in the 700 block of 8th Street when somehow pulled out a gun and opened fire. The victim was hit in the stomach and in the leg. A break tonight in a more than 60-year-old murder case. Mary Jane Reed was killed back in 1948. After her body was exhumed in 2005, forensic experts found that the skull in her coffin wasn't hers. Now, thanks to a $25,000 reward, a former Ogle County Sheriff's deputy has come forward with information about a skull that was found when the nuclear Byron plant was being built. Former Oregon Mayor Mike Arians, who's now investigating Reed's death, thinks it could be hers.
This skull in width matches almost perfectly.
Arians plans to have a forensic anthropologist inspect the skull. If it appears to be of a woman of the same age as Mary, a DNA test will be performed. An Iowa woman who held the title for the oldest living American for less than a month has passed away. Eva Morris died today at the tender age of 114 years and 245 days. We reported that the Ames, Iowa woman became the oldest living American back on March 8th. She was also the second oldest person in the world. Morris died early this morning in her nursing home. Well, they've been making waves with a cross-country promotion, and now a national movement pushing political change makes a stop right here in the state line. Fox 39's Joelle Parks joins us in the studio tonight with the latest. Joelle? Joelle, thank you for that story tonight. Well, Tea Party supporter Sarah Palin wasn't at today's rally. Instead, she's prepping for a stop in Minneapolis. The former Alaska governor is teaming up with Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann for a rally. Congresswoman Bachmann thinks that Wednesday's rally with Palin, part of Bachmann's re-election campaign, will be a loud call for a new direction in Washington.
The country has been pulled lurching to the left, not that we've gone too far right. I think what people want is common sense conservatism. That's what I talk about.
Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty and Fox's Sean Hannity will also be appearing at the rally. The event is free, but Palin will be appearing later at a $500 a ticket fundraiser.